Today I'm just going to introduce you to the G.Brot grinding machine. We're going to go through the main parts of the machine, but we'll look in detail at the operation of those main parts when we start our thin section processing. So on the floor to the left is the Transwave Converter, and that converter runs on 220 volts, and the line is hooked up. If you look at the little grey box, it runs behind the machine and is hooked up to a mains trunking there under the map. So come back. When you turn the switch to the right, it's going to take that 220 volt and convert it to 400 volts or triple phase. Now, the little converter takes that charge, really, and you look at the big red safety couple there. That line takes it from the converter to the back of the machine, and you can see the two paired up there. We need triple phase because that really runs the machine more smoothly when we're grinding multiple samples and creating friction. 400 volts runs that operation much more smoothly than a 220 line would. So we're going to come around to the front. Okay, top left we've got the operations box, and then to the right we've got a plastic hood which comes down over the grinding wheel and the sample mounting plate. Now, if you go down to the middle section, you'll see that's our measurement system for the G.Brot. Little micrometer on the left. I'll go through that in detail in our next couple videos. In the middle of those is a manual wheel which feeds the grinding wheel onto the samples and withdraws it when the grinding is finished. Now you're looking at the main body of the machine behind those metal plates, and that contains its motor, drive belt, but more importantly it contains a pump which sits in the settling box. Now that pump takes the oil that's settled and it recirculates it up to the top and sends it through the oil spigot between the grinding wheel and the sample plate. Now, of course, the dirtier your oil gets, the more friction it's going to cause between the wheel and the plate. So just be aware of that and watch and feel if the machine is creating heat as it runs. But it's a lovely, simple little system, and really it runs on a settling box just like our saw, but quite a bigger job to clean it up. But as I say, we're going to open up the machine when we clean it properly, and I'll run you through its separate parts then. But the last thing to mention really is the ventilation for the machine. Now, what I decided to do here is purchase a fan unit from a DIY shop, and this is a little fan which is bought to demist water from showers, and it's sitting right here on the wall, mounted on the wall, and it runs constantly. When I turn on the switch for this mains line, this little fan will go on. Now, you'll notice there's a hole cut into the wall which exhausts it outside, but the hose itself, this plastic hosing, is fit to a square pipe, and that comes down to what is essentially a little oil trap fitting. So when we come up here and we shut the hood of the machine, we're now venting out, we're fuming the inside of the machine. And the oil mist will travel down, and it will drop the oil out on this little square piece of trunking, and then it sends the air and probably a little bit of oil mist up the trunk, up to the hose, through the fan, and to the outside. Now, this system is a must. I have to say it really is a must, because when I first started, I ran a machine without a fume system. And when you're grinding, what happens is after the grinding is finished, it will take the machine on its own about 5 minutes for that oil mist to settle. But if you've got a fume system, it will take maybe a minute for that fume to pull off all the oil mist. You open up that plastic lid and you can have a look at your samples and set up for the next grind. Without it, you're going to find yourself covered with oil, and that isn't much fun when it comes to health and safety and your comfort in the lab. So that's pretty much it for the old bro. As I say, we're going to go through the operations separately as we start our thin section process. So the next thing we're going to do is have a look at how to set up the measurement system.